Hello, everybody. Today we have a very special guest who has extensive executive background in the BPO industry. In fact, if you actually um, look up business process outsourcing in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of my guest. And I'm talking about my friend Jim Farnsworth. Jim, thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk to us.
Well, Pat, thank you so much for having me. I think your definition's a little generous, but I do appreciate it. I think that was a very kind way to say I'm an old dog trying to learn new tricks all the time in the CX and the BPO space. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Jim, with so many changes going on in the BPO industry call center world right now, I'd love to get some insights from you from an executive perspective of really what's going on in the market today.
Okay, it, my perspective is most people don't know. Um, what's happening is the the market, particularly the BPO market, is undergoing a fundamental change. It reminds me of the early 2000s paused making, and they paused their later, a couple of years later, they wanted to study the Philippines, and so they all kind of got into a freeze mode. And I think that's what you're seeing in the BPO market right now. I've been to several places this year and talked to several potential buyers and customers, and everybody's really fascinated by what AI is, how it can be applied. Um, I don't think they know yet how they're going to apply it. Many people I've asked, the questions like, well, where do you want it to work and how do you want it to work? And they shrug their shoulders and say, I don't know. I just know that my bosses tell me that it's going to cut costs and it's going to improve productivity and efficiency. So we need to take a look at it. So, really there's two forces I think driving the market right now. One is just this insatiable curiosity and trying to consume as much information about AI and technology as possible. And then at the same time, really some slowness in terms of decision making and moving forward on more traditional BPO and CX services.
Well, that's interesting because I hear a lot of that from people I'm talking to as well. Um, you know, my I think there's some fundamental changes going on in the industry, and it's not business as usual. I think customers are expecting way more from their BPO outsource providers and for their internal call centers as well. They're saying, hey, like you said, the CFOs are saying, hey, we got to cut costs, and this is what we're going to try to do, and you make it happen, and it's almost like the shiny new object, right? Everybody's like I feel like sometimes you're in a market bazaar, like in Mexico or in India somewhere, and everyone's like waving, "Hey, come over here." And one of the biggest challenges is okay, who's right? I've been on so many demos that people are saying, "Hey, this thing works great, but it's a
Yeah.
canned demo. It's not necessarily a it's canned." So if you say, "Hey, we'll put some live data in there," well, yeah, I can't show you that yet. So it's like a work in progress. So it's really determining what's real and what's not with what's going on. Um, and you said it yourself. There's some fundamental changes going on in the industry right now, and AI does have a big role in it. In fact, I've seen some things that blow my mind. Uh, just from how we've gone from even when the Sykes days, what we had to offer, then coming over to now you can have a conversation with a um, an IVR that has AI, and it's a conversation that you feel like you're talking to a human, and it's kind of crazy. So things have had
Yeah.
leapt leaps. I mean, they've gone huge gains, huge growth, leaps and bounds over what even 3 or 4 years ago. Um, so my question to you too is like, so how important is it for companies to really have an open mind to the marketplace right now and what's going on? How you tell me a little bit about what your thoughts on that are?
Yeah, I use the word essential, frankly. It's not going away. You were saying exactly a few moments ago, what does it mean for the industry? It's absolutely going to change the industry. There are, it's going to move the people equation further toward a greater skill set. I can talk a little bit more about that in as we follow up. But it's important for companies to adapt to the changes. I think they all realize, well, we need to have AI components. We need to have co-pilots or human in the loop, or however you want to respond to that. It's also important for them to start thinking about not just their agents and the line operations, but they need to think about the people who provide solutions, who provide client management, and people who provide sales. I've led many sales teams, and historically they have sold BPO in a very common way, which is we've got this suite of services, and how many of them do you want? What we are going to have to do going forward is be much more mindful of diagnosing need, of understanding business, of being able to combine a suite of services as opposed to just where location do you want and how many people do you need. We're definitely going to see a reduction in the number of people handled basic transactions. Things that are more transactional are obviously going to be you're going to see a great acceleration in AI handling those. And what's going to happen is the things that AI won't be able to handle, yeah, you'll need fewer people, but you're going to need better people, which means companies are going to have to hire better. They're going to have to continuously train, continuously develop, because the capabilities of AI move so quickly that the leftovers are no longer going to be transactional. They're going to be outcome based. And you're going to need people who can think. You're going to need people who have the authority to make decisions and resolve customer concerns, which in many companies today, they don't have. I mean, all of us probably have a story of talking to a customer experience rep who said, well, unfortunately, I can't solve that for you because I have to get a manager, or I don't have authority on that policy, that kind of thing. So I think, what you're going to see humans handling over time, and I see this as more 5 years out than one, 3 to 5, I guess, to be fair, is they're going to need to be better, and they're going to need to be. That's good. Good. There we go. They're going to need to be better, and from a BPO standpoint, they're going to have to be paid more, which means the price is going to be different. And I had a conversation with a company late last year about this, and it was one of the largest technology companies in the world, and it was their head of customer experience. And we were chatting, and I went out on the diving board there on the high dive and said, look, you guys are obsessed with price when you buy these services from BPOs. You're going to have to get over price, and you're going to have to get into total cost of ownership, the total value equation, because yeah, let's just say you have 1,000 people today. 5 years from now, you may be able to have half that or 2/3 of that. But those that remain are going to have to be better and more, and as I said before, better skilled, better trained, better coached, continuously developed, and better paid. They're going to demand more because of a higher skill set, which means BPOs are going to have to pass that along in terms of prices and the way they build deals. And so
It's
that
interesting, Jim,
whole
that you
thing
said
of,
that.
well, I want pricing.
Yeah, the interesting thing is,
Yeah,
the labor arbitrage was something that was such a big thing before. Hey, let's do this here. Let's do it in a different geo, so it's going to make it less of a expense for you guys. But now people are expecting more from their BPO providers. They're saying, hey, listen, uh, this is your business. What else do you have? It's the why are you different than anybody else? And to be able to bring, cutting edge partnerships or deals. When I say cutting edge, it's like the latest technology that actually works. If you can bring those to the table, it's a much better opportunity for the CFOs, because their CEOs are saying, hey, by the way, you got to cut 5% or 10% across the board. I don't care where you find it. For us to survive, this is what you have to do. Well, then they're coming to companies saying, "Hey, how can you help me?" And the best thing to do is to actually leverage technology that works. And, everyone says, "Well, we're gonna cut 20 to 30%, if you use our technology," but being able to actually put together a return on investment for that particular business is huge, and I think that's the key to success today is bringing hey, and frankly, if you're leading with the digital suite, that's you have much more, much better conversations with a CFO or with an EVP over customer experience than saying, "Hey, we're gonna put, like, the quote unquote, butts in seats," right? That doesn't that may work for a little bit, but they're looking for
Yeah, yeah,
substantial changes.
yeah. One thing though, I caution BPO players on, and I think they may be overly confident that they can own the AI for their clients end to end. Most big enterprise players are not going to buy their entire AI suite from a single BPO. They'll buy it from an AI provider. You've got so many out there.
Right,
Um, because as we all know, they don't like to get all their BPO eggs in a single basket. It's rare anymore when they have when they put all their business with one BPO. It's very, very rare. So I think as long as BPOs understand good point solutions that make their particular corner of the market, to your point, better, and not get obsessed with, oh, I just need to have the entire suite to sell, they're going to be a lot stronger. Because if you can say, I've got ways to make training better, I've got ways to make hiring better, ways to make quality better, ways to capitalize on the intelligence that we get from every interaction we have with a customer and bring those forward. Those are going to be the differentiators that I think clients are going to be interested in. If a BPO just shows up and says,
that's right,
hey, I can do it all for you. I'll be your total end-to-end AI provider. They're gonna say, no, I'm relying on somebody else for that because I can apply it across my entire ecosystem. So, your question about what's going to be in 5 years, it's going to be a combo of people. There'll still be people. Things like sales, proper sales, not like catalog ordering. Those are things that need people to do. To answer your question, no, we'll never get away entirely from the human element, because if you're selling something through your contact center, that's complex, or more than just catalog ordering or website ordering, you're going to want to have a human doing that, because people buy based on relationships, and a BPO,
that's
or
right.
sorry, a bot and an AI doesn't build a relationship. It is responsive. It isn't predictive, and people are predictive, and people can, I can read your expression when I'm talking to you in a video and know that, okay, my pitch is working or it's not, right? And I think you'll never get away from it. And then there are certain things that are so complex, and particularly in certain industries like financial services and healthcare, where the human can, they're so complex that they have to have a human. But it's going to fundamentally change, and you're going to see fewer and fewer humans needed. But again, and I sound like a broken record. The ones you will need may be fewer, but they have to be much better, and they'll be
Sure.
dealing with much more complex issues.
Yeah, one of the messages that I would say to a CFO is, because they hear this great technology that's out there, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is what we're doing. This is the direction we're heading in." The Now, would you agree with this? Don't sacrifice cost versus quality of the experience for the customer. So that's why there's got to be a mix of a great experience, great technology. Listen, last time I dread calling my cell provider because I know it's going to be at least a half hour of my life I'm never getting back. So, but at the same time, if there's tools that I can use for quick questions, that's what I'm going to look for in the beginning. Really, really great self-service ways to deflect calls, things of that nature. But I would caution CFOs instead of just because then if you break your system, your customers are going to go away, and that's the reason why you have the call center in the beginning.
that companies never appreciate the value of a contact center and what intelligence you can get from it. And it's the only part of your company that's truly having dialogue with a customer.
That's right.
They look at the cost. Right? I mean, I'll tell you, the biggest lie in business is your call is very important to us, because most companies don't see it that way. They see it as, it's a cost. I want to drive them down. I want to drive them out. I want to drive them to the web. And yet there are certain elements where you need that human being, and it will actually increase and make your business better. The other thing they need to focus on, I haven't called my cell provider in a long time, because they've figured out how to fix my problems without me having to call them. I mean, that's the other thing companies need to invest in, is how do you prevent the calls
That's right.
altogether? I did a consulting project back about 12 years ago with one of the large audio companies, and I'd been a customer for a long time, and their chief customer officer asked me, how was your experience the last time you called us? And I said, I've never called you in 12 years, because I've never needed to, because your product works so well. And I think if they focus at the top of the funnel there, rather than just being obsessed with how do I cut the costs of the needed customer service, that's where they need to make their investments.
Well, those are great, great thoughts, Jim. First of all, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes with us. Would like to, and thank you for sharing your perspective. And it's always good to get an executive's thought process, because those are the things that really matter, and those are the things that are going to help drive change in an organization, but also help um, make sure that you have the right process in place for your customer experience. And with your vast experience, you're the one I wanted to talk to. So, Jim, I wanted to thank you, and I really appreciate your time. I do have a quick announcement. And real quick, we're putting on a series of webinars talking about digital transformation and how it applies to your call center, whether you are a BPO or a small, medium, or very large call center. If you'd like to join us for this exciting journey, please let me know in the comments, and I'll send you an invite. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon.